Mujadisas, it is trophy winning time, and hopefully it's the first of many for Real Madrid this season. That is right, it's the UEFA Super Cup, Real Madrid versus Atalanta this coming Wednesday. In this video, we're going to be talking about my starting 11 that I want to see in the match, as well as my official match prediction, and are we going to see Kylian Mbappe make his debut wearing that famous white kit? But before we get started, if you're new around here, I'm Dally with Dally FC, and I cover all things Real Madrid. At the end of the video, if you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. When it comes to my lineup in this game, there's a lot of things that I was considering. First of all, are the players who just got back from holiday ready to go and start against Atalanta? Is this something Carlo wants? Or, on the other hand, does he want the team that he just had in preseason, the team that's warmed up, the players that are warmed up and ready to go and have been linking up? This is it's a weird game because it's almost like a preseason game, but at the same time, you can win a trophy in this one. And so how do you treat this game? You watch the Community Shield today, for example, Manchester United versus Man City. The lineup there, it's not the full Man City squad or the full Manchester United squad. And so when it comes to Real Madrid for this, I wasn't 100% sure. However, the way Carlo seems to operate when it comes to bigger games is he doesn't mess around. And that I'm not messing around on this one either. As you can see now, here is my lineup for the game. And this is what I would presume would be the starting 11 in most games this season. I was between a 4-4-2 and a 4-3-3. But I think for this game, I think we need to see the 4-3-3 first and to see how well the front three do, specifically Rodrigo in this game. I know this is me starting Kylian Mbappe, but Rodrigo is my focus on this game. This is the position that I think is going to be the one to watch this season. Is Rodrigo able to come out and compete with Vini and Mbappe and really help support them on the attack and be an all-around player? Or is this a possibility that Arda Güler can come in and steal his position? Brahim can come in and steal his position? Or even, is this something where maybe Rodrigo's not adding value and we move to a 4-4-2 with Vini and Mbappe as dual strikers up top in more of a diamond shape, kind of like what we saw last year? So Rodrigo is the biggest player I think that's really important to watch for Real Madrid this game and this first couple games and matches. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And, of course, the front three, though, of Vini, Mbappe, and Rodrigo. I'm not sure what we're going to call it, VMR, RMV. We need an acronym, so let me know what you guys think what the acronym should be for this front three. I think, though, the combination of Vini and Mbappe, and I think starting them is going to be an opportunity for us to kind of get started in the season. Like I said, this would be Mbappe's first game for Real Madrid. And in the first couple of La Liga games, I think it's important that he gets a lot of play time so we can get started. And I think him and Vini linking up early is going to lead to success for Real Madrid long into the season. The player that I'm most excited to watch, and I think all Madridistas are most excited to watch, is hopefully Kylian Mbappe making his debut for Real Madrid in this game. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch is what is Mbappe's position in this Real Madrid squad. We know that he tends to drift toward the left, just like Vini likes to be on the left, and just like even Rodrigo likes to be on the left. And so a front three of Vini, Mbappe, and Rodrigo, are they all on the left in this game? It's going to be really interesting to see. I want to see if Mbappe's starting at center forward, how much does he stay central, and how much does he drift to the left, or even is he going to the right? Also, is there a possibility that he could start at the left wing and Vini would start at center forward? Now, I don't think that should happen because the player that I think right now is the best player in the world is Vini Jr. When we watched Vini last year, he looked phenomenal. He had such a great year. He should be winning the Ballon d'Or, and if Rodri gets it, I will be so annoyed. But I think that Vini right now, there's no player in the world that's scarier on the attack than him. I think his best position is on the left, and I want Vini to stay on the left. And so I think the dynamic between Vini and Mbappe is going to be really interesting to watch. And I'm hoping we can get at least 60 to 75 minutes of them two together and seeing how it's going to work, because we haven't seen them this preseason at all. We haven't even seen really practice clips of them together. They've been practicing for the first time together now, which is really interesting to see because there's actually like no photos online of Vini and Mbappe together. Very few and far between. So it's going to be really interesting to see because I think right now these are probably the two best players in the world. And I think over the next 5 to 7 years, these are the players who are going to be battling it out for the Ballon d'Or and for all the goals, for all the assists. Is this going to be something that's going to be a problem going forward, where is one outshining the other? Is Vinny going to reach another level where he's almost better than Mbappe, or is Mbappe going to come into the squad and just reach a superstar level? It's going to be super interesting to watch those two, and I'm really looking forward to it. When it comes to the midfield, there's no lineup that's a real lineup without Fede Valverde in it. If Fede Valverde's fit, first of all, the blonde hair is sick. I might have to dye my blonde hair. I don't think people would like it, but if you guys think I should dye my hair blonde, like Fede, let me know. I think it's awesome. But there's no serious lineup from Carlo that doesn't have Fede Valverde in it. So I 100% assume he's starting on the right center mid. Same thing with Jude. Jude is his position, though, I think is going to be interesting with, last year it was a 4-4-2 like a diamond. False 9, floating 8 for Jude, and going into the box and running in. This year, I think it's going to be interesting to see how different it is if you have the 3 up top. Is he still going to be making runs into the box, or is he going to be staying more central and playing a little more box to box? It's going to be really interesting to see how Jude does this year. I would expect a lesser stat season for Jude. He had a ton of goals. I forget exactly what the number was, but I feel like it was around 20 goals last season. That might be his most he ever gets for Real Madrid, just because of the attackers we have forward. I would love to be wrong. 100%. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Jude does. Is this a position that he's a little more comfortable in, playing a little deeper, or is he going to continue to make runs into the box? When it comes to the defensive mid position, I wasn't sure 100% what I wanted to do. In the preseason, I feel like we've seen Luka Modric play a lot deeper role in almost that CDM, kind of that Cruz sort of role. However, if Tchouaméni's healthy, he 100% needs to be the CDM, and that's who I have in the lineup. And Tchouaméni, still recovering from his injury. I'm not 100% sure what he had, but remember, he did miss the Champions League final. He did do pretty good, I thought, in the Euros. He was still, iffy. No preseason for him, though. This might be a position that we might see somebody else in. I could be wrong here. I would prefer to see Tchouaméni. Even Camavinga, I wouldn't mind. Camavinga is going to be really interesting this season, too, is if we do a 4-4-2 diamond, I think Camavinga's playing a lot more, probably where Jude is, and put Jude at the 10. Or is Camavinga playing more the CDM role? I think it's going to be really interesting to see, but hopefully we get to see Tchouaméni in this one. When it comes to my back four, I'm putting Ferland Mendy in there at left back immediately. Fran Garcia was a liability in preseason, as we all saw. There was way too many times that he was out of position, and just defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired for me. Put Mendy in there. I think he's a wall. I think he's really good defensively. He's not as good on the attack probably as Fran, but I think the link-up play between him and Vinny is pretty solid. And with a front three like we have, I don't really think you need Mendy to be amazing offensively. On the right-hand side, of course, you have to go with the Euro champion. Carvajal should be making the start. He looks great. I'm not sure. I think, what is it? The keto diet, the no-carbs diet, something like that. Carvajal looks fantastic shape. And I think, right now, he's probably one of the best right backs in the world, if not the best right back in the world. And I think it's going to be a really big year for Carvajal. It's going to be interesting to see, too. 1 year left on Carvajal's deal. If he has another great year, I would expect Carvajal to be back at least for one more year. I would hope so. But it's going to be interesting to see. Lucas Vazquez, I could see starting in this one, too, just because he did have a pretty good preseason and he's a pretty good squad player. But I would like to see Carvajal making the start. And then it's center back, and I think this is going to be the interesting thing. Rudiger and Militao really are the only two real center backs we have. We have Vallejo, who I don't think he's Real Madrid level. I just don't think he's that talented. And then, unfortunately, if you guys didn't see the news as well, that Joan Martinez tore his ACL yesterday in training, which is just awful news to hear. The 16-year-old center back was somebody I really thought that Real Madrid was going to need this season, just because, losing out on Lenny Yoro. I thought Joan had a real opportunity to make the first team squad and to be a good rotation piece. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. Now, the depth at that position is really far and few between. That's going to be a possibility that Tchouaméni falls back in there. Carvajal has played center back before. I don't love that, but that's another option too. So Rudiger and Militao should be the obvious pick at center back. And I think the obvious pick at goalkeeper, of course, is Courtois. If Courtois is healthy, he is the best goalkeeper in the world, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of other people. I thought he had a pretty good preseason. You know, we didn't get to see a lot of Courtois last year, and so I'm hoping this can be kind of a redemption year for him and, you know, retain that title of the Belgian Wall. And I think this is going to be a really good game for him, and I'm really excited to see him. And so, yeah, let me know what you guys think of the lineup. A couple subs I would like to see in this game, or possibly players that might get the start that we could be seeing in this lineup instead. 100% the two players that I for sure want to see in pretty much every single game for Real Madrid this season is Arda Güler and Brahim. Brahim had a fantastic preseason, especially the last game against Chelsea. He looked fantastic. He was my man of the match in that one. I was very excited to see him, and I think he's going to play a huge role for this Real Madrid squad coming on as a super sub in this game. I would like to see it. And when it comes to Arda Güler, he is honestly already one of my favorite Real Madrid players, and he's really somebody I could see. I would not mind if Rodrigo comes on as a super sub and maybe you start Arda Güler at the right. I think that's going to be an interesting lineup, or a front three if that happens. If you have a Vinny at the left, if you have Mbappe at the top, and then a Güler at the right, I think it's a really different dynamic that Arda Güler brings. And at 19 years old, he's just a stud. He is such a good player. It's just insane. Just watching him, he's not going to attack players like a Vinny, like an Mbappe would, but the dynamic that he brings to bring the ball inside, to cross the ball in the box, set pieces, he's fantastic. Corners, best in the world. I just think that Arda Güler is class, and I think it's going to be really hard for Real Madrid and Carlos specifically to look at him on the bench and not put him in a lot more games this year. So yes, pretty much any game, if Brahim or Güler are not starting, they will for sure be playing in this one. Little bonus too, the person I'd like to see maybe, depending on what the scoreline is an Endrick come on. I'm curious though, if you put Endrick in, is that for Mbappe? You're moving Mbappe to the left? I think that might be interesting to see what happens too. You know, take Vinny off, put Mbappe to the left, and put Endrick up top. I think that's going to be really interesting to see as well. So those are the players I'd like to see, and those are my starting 11. But when it comes to my match prediction for this game, Atalanta lost one of their best players, unfortunately, this preseason, getting hurt. And just the squad that Real Madrid has and the attacking power, I believe this should be a blowout. And that is why I will be going with Real Madrid winning the game 3-0. And I think for sure that Mbappe will get on the board. I will also say Vinny gets on the board, and I will say he probably gets an assist. And a little prediction, man of the match, Vinny in this one. And I'm going to say Valverde gets on the board as well. So yes, Real Madrid winning the game 3-0 to win the UEFA Super Cup. So that's my starting 11 and my prediction. Let me know who you have winning the Super Cup in the comments below. I'll be back live once again post-game talking all about the match on YouTube and TikTok. So if you're not subscribed already, definitely hit that subscribe button. It only helps the channel grow and reach a larger audience, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this video. This has been Dally with Dally FC. Cheers. HalaMadrid.